So we've looked at the first question of how does change happen in complex adaptive systems? And now we're stepping into the second question, which is what are our beliefs around which the economic system we have, the dominant economic system, is organizing? And I think based on the examples I gave you in the last section, there's a bigger pattern going on, and it's what I would call an economics or a politics or a culture of separation. And the narrative of the economics of separation goes something like this. We are all self-focused, rugged individualists. Our biological reality is survival of the fittest. He who wins the competition, and I use he by intent, has the right to accumulate resources and hoard and store as much as he wants. And nature is here to serve our needs and support our growth. So that narrative might sound a little bit like the American dream. It's deep in our culture around this idea of individualism and separation. And what I want to say about this worldview is that it's not false. It describes part of who we are, but not all of who we are. And the delusion that this is all who we are has given rise to a global culture of haves and have-nots with an ever-widening gap between the two. But I think there's another way of understanding who we are, which is what I would call an economics or a politics or a culture of relationship. And that relationship, we are by nature interdependent. We care deeply about opportunity for all. We are oriented toward cooperation rather than competition. Resources are meant to flow to where they're needed most. In fact, in nature, accumulation often means stagnation, right? So we rely on the wisdom of nature. So the idea is like, what if instead of being fundamentally competitive, selfish, and separate, we are by nature cooperative, generous, and interdependent? In fact, there are studies from the Greater Good Science Center that show when you give a person resources, they're likely to give more than 50% away right off the bat. That who we are is deeply concerned with the well-being of each other. When the pain center in my brain lights up, the pain center in your brain lights up. When the joy center in my brain lights up, the joy center in your brain lights up. We are by nature deeply connected. And so this idea of an economics of relationship as something that rebalances us. It's very easy to think, let's throw the old one out. That's not who we are. This is who we are. Everything should be cooperative. Everything is opportunity for all. Everything is interdependence. I just want to suggest that we need to focus on learning how to design economic systems based on that to rebalance ourselves. And that we can develop the muscle of discernment about when to bring forward competition, when to bring forward cooperation, when to support some accumulation in preparation for an uncertain future, and when to have resources flow to where they're needed most. And that's where we lack skill. So if we as change makers want to make a shift from an economics of separation to an economics of relationship, we have to explore what does it look like to create a system that self-organizes around the well-being of people and place. And I think the answer has everything to do with those little dots, the ones I called walkouts, and more importantly, the lines in between them. In the economics of separation, investors look to find the single best enterprise to invest in and support it in crushing the competition so they can extract financial value. Funders often follow the same path. They try to find the single most effective intervention and support it, ensuring it scores well on expected metrics. Policymakers do the same. And even community organizers are out there trying to compete for funding, so they have to play by those rules often in order to win. That's our old machine mind doing its reductionist work. In an economics of relationship, we're not just interested in a single node on that network map, a single dot. We're interested in the relationships between the nodes. We can no longer see our work as separate from one another. If the industrial worldview looks at the allocation of capital as a product, right, an investment or a grant, the system worldview asks, who else is here? As change makers, we need to place ourselves in an ecosystem of relationships. And this course is going to explore what it looks like when it comes to investing, which is counter to the dominant narrative about disrupting relationships and trying to win and destroy the competition. So to do that, we're going to have to start with deprogramming, reprogramming our understanding of risk and return.